Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 13th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see our storm system that brought some pretty active weather across the region yesterday, still rolling down the Oregon coastline. It will continue to bring precipitation here as we go through the day today, but you can see we are rapidly clearing out across portions of British Columbia and Western Washington. I can already see the Olympic Mountains got a new coat of snow out there. A glorious sunrise this morning, but we did have some active weather yesterday. We had numerous lightning strikes around some of the Puget Sound down towards Astoria, the Oregon coastline there, and we had a couple right near Portland also. So we'll take a look at what's coming up here because we've got more active weather as we go towards the end of this week, but you're going to want to enjoy this weather in the meantime, and I'll show you what I mean as we go through the next couple days. So here we go, and I'm going to back this all the way up towards yesterday. You can see that precipitation moving across the area. I was out there in North Bend yesterday morning. It was raw, some pretty chilly temperatures, and then you can see some of these showers. Look at this convergence zone activity here across some of the Puget Sound. If I put that into motion, you can see the lightning strikes up across portions of Seattle, back down across portions of the Kitsap Peninsula as well. Had a couple lightning strikes move right near SeaTac there, also down towards Federal Way. And looks like we just got an update here, and I'll scroll back there. And again, you can kind of see that convergence zone in that lightning activity there. And then you can see that kind of pinwheel down towards the Oregon coast. There's a couple strikes right off the coastline there as well. And then we come back out towards where we are this morning, and you can see some precipitation still occurring across portions of Oregon and Washington, but this will be wrapping up here over the next few hours. Some pretty big snowfall amounts. Mission Ridge, Blewett Pass out there, and that should be wrapping up as we go through this morning. I know Blewett Pass was closed at times last night and maybe this morning as well. So taking a look here at the infrared satellite imagery, you can kind of see how this lines up with what we just looked at. But if you notice as we go through the day today, some nice clearing coming behind this storm. We're going to get a couple nice, clear, brisk days, glorious sunshine, and probably warming back up into the low 60s for some portions. Just absolutely gorgeous weather coming up here. But I also want to mention this. The storm system, as it pivots down across California, will continue to produce some precipitation across portions of southeast Oregon, up across Idaho and Montana as we go on in through this week. And then we wait for that next frontal system, as you can see, as we go through the day on Thursday. The next one arrives, and probably a stronger storm as we go through this weekend. More on that here in a moment. But looking at Seattle cloud cover, you can see wrapping up these clouds pretty early this morning in some absolutely glorious conditions today, Tuesday, Wednesday, before the clouds come back here on Thursday, and then a stronger storm this weekend. Now, also apparent temperature. Look at British Columbia. Some of the interior portions taking wind chill factor into account. You can see some single digits and some teens out there. And when you see these whites there in these very bright colors, that is below zero wind chills across some of the higher terrain of British Columbia, Rocky Mountains. You can see that as well back down into Montana, and pretty chilly across the Washington and some of the Oregon Cascades as well. And if we scroll on in through the day today, you can see we do warm up a bit there. It's still a little bit of chill in the atmosphere with a dry air mass across the region. You'll feel that evaporative cooling as you go through the day today. And you can see Seattle, what it feels like 58 this afternoon, but that sunshine is going to be quite nice. And then we go on in through tomorrow morning, and you see the temperatures cooling off yet again, not quite as cold, but still will be under the grip of this fairly chilly air mass. And then we go back into Tuesday afternoon, and you can see how we warm up quite dramatically during the daytime. But if we look at apparent temperature, look at how things are this morning. I mean, SeaTac feels like 38 degrees. Some of the outlying areas up I-5, Snohomish County, look at that, 33. Once you get back across the foothills, it feels like you're in the 20s this morning. Very chilly air mass yet again. And if you're up across Mount Rainier, you can see some of the higher terrain below zero is what it feels like up there. And if we scroll through here, we'll scroll on through this afternoon, and you can see some of these nice temperatures across Seattle. Look at out towards Hoquiam there. Feels like 60 degrees, but tomorrow morning also pretty darn right chilly again. Widespread 30s there in the apparent temperature, so you're definitely going to feel that chill. And once you get back off into the more foothill areas here and across some of the higher terrain back up into the Cascades, it's going to feel even chillier than that. And then we go through Tuesday afternoon, but a lot of sunshine out there, and you can see some of these temperatures getting back up into the low 60s for some locations. We go back in towards Wednesday morning there. We do modify a bit, and then Wednesday afternoon should be quite nice as well. Now, if you want your own affordable home weather station, this one has a great smartphone app, and it does everything you think a weather station should do. It's got a lightning detection system as well. Mine was picking up some of those strikes there yesterday also. So very fun weather station. Click on the link down below to save 10% off on that. Now, looking at composite reflectivity, let's put this into motion, and you can see some of that snow still flying across some of the southern Washington Cascades, maybe up towards Mission Ridge as we go through this morning, but that should be on the wane. And then you can see the storm really pivot down across California, but it will kind of pivot back up across the region. You see some of that coming across portions of eastern Oregon, Idaho, as we go through the day on Tuesday, lifting up perhaps towards the Idaho Panhandle a little bit, some of southeast Washington, maybe clipping it, and then coming across places like Yellowstone, eastern Idaho, and southwest Montana up towards Helena there as we go on into the day on Tuesday. As that storm pivots back across the region, you can see it's going to be with us all the way on through the day Wednesday also. But during that time period, Portland, Seattle, southwest BC, a lot of Washington state, a couple very nice days coming up here before the next round of weather returns. And also some brisk winds there, again, out of the northeast and out of the north down the Puget Sound here this morning. And you can see some of these winds could be gusting up over 40 towards 50 miles per hour as we go through the day today across some of the Oregon Cascades. You can see that strong northeasterly wind coming across the Cascades of Oregon there, and some brisk winds across the coastal ranges there also. And you can see the north wind ripping down across portions of eastern Washington in the wake of that low as it moves down across California. Now, a 10-meter wind gust here, just kind of showing you what I was showing you there as well. You can kind of see that Fraser River outflow, a little bit of a modified Arctic air mass, and, that's pretty typical there. You start to get these northeast outflow winds. Looks like some got up into the lower 40s there, and again, across some of the higher terrain could be gusting up towards 50 miles per hour. So also precipitable water, just kind of showing you just how dry this air mass is when we go through the next few days, and you'll see the next frontal system arriving as we go on Thursday. That's not the main storm. The next powerful storm is out here as we go on in towards the weekend. A stronger frontal system will arrive. And if we look at sea level pressure there, you can also see why these winds are from the north and northeast direction there. You got the high pressure across the interior British Columbia, across some of the Rocky Mountains, and of course the low pressure tracking down towards California as you go through the day today. And that's bringing that offshore pressure gradient, bringing us our strong winds. So taking a look here, we got this upper level cold low just kind of moving right over western Washington last night. So that's why we had that convergent zone activity. If you were watching the Doppler radar, you could see some of that local spinning in the atmosphere, and this continues to track south. So this is where we are right about what now? I'm doing this about 8 o'clock. So it's moving right down the Oregon coast, and that's what's bringing this huge, massive storm, very powerful early season storm to California. And of course, we're going to get in the wake of that, the offshore winds, which we talked about, and then we go off into the future. There's Thursday's system. It just clips us there, and then the stronger system, as you can see, out over our coastal waters up towards Haida Gwaii starts to arrive as we go through the weekend. So last 12 hours, lightning strikes. You can see some across the Puget Sound, Oregon coast, Astoria, Long Beach, just north of Portland there, and up and down the Oregon coast. But if we go back out 24 hours, you can really see some of that activity towards West Seattle there, up across Northeast Seattle, up into Snohomish County. We had a couple of strikes across Skagit County as well. So yeah, nice show there yesterday. I heard thunder probably 3 different times, and I saw about 4 lightning strikes there as well. So yeah, very fun storm. Now looking at snow depth in inches. So if we go through this morning, you see again places like Blewett Pass, we're getting some pretty good amounts. You see across Lake Chelan, some of the higher terrain, some of the Cascades of Oregon, Washington. Looks like some areas up over a foot for portions of Oregon. But you see, as we go on into this week, it's still October, and we are going to modify it. You can see a lot of that snow is going to get taken away. So don't get used to it just yet. It's a little bit too early in the season for that snow to hang around for long. So let's take a look at the extended forecast now. Artificial intelligence on the left versus the GFS on the right. Pretty good agreement in the short term, of course. Big storm coming to California. And then we wait as we get a couple days off. We see that system kind of moving through on Thursday. Not a very strong frontal system there, but it will bring the return of the clouds. And then the stronger frontal system rises as we go through this weekend. Still some model differences here and just exactly what's going to happen, but a pretty good agreement that we are going to get a system as we go through this weekend. It could bring some wave action to the coastline, some winds, and of course it's going to bring rounds of precipitation as well. But usually during this time of year, we're not talking about lower elevation snowfall, and probably is going to be the case out of this system as well. I'll continue to watch it and see how much cold air is going to be behind this system and what kind of potential across some of the higher terrain for snowfall. But it's not going to be as cold as the system we are dealing with right now. And if we take a look at the ensemble members, you can see the system now. This is the average. Actually, this is not the average. We're looking at the ensemble member-wise minimum sea level pressure. So what I want to show you here is we go on in towards the weekend. There goes Thursday's system moving through. But if we look off into the future, you can see there are some deeper low pressure centers here. You can see that 976, 974, and down to the 980. So you're a pretty strong system. Looks like it might be ramping up as we go on in through this weekend. And you can kind of see that strong pressure gradient there on the ensembles. Now, if we take a look at some of the timing on this and the artificial intelligence, well, the next round of precipitation looks like it comes on Thursday. Again, not a lot of it with that on Thursday night into Friday morning, the stronger system arriving this weekend. You can see a pretty potent frontal system, strong low pressure into Haida Gwaii could bring some locally breezy conditions. And again, we'll track that one here over the next couple of days. So don't get anything locked in your mind, because this is no doubt going to be changing over the next couple of days on just how strong that frontal system will be. Then it shows another system as we go on in through the next week, but we'll worry about that here over the next few days as well. And it continues to show some active weather as we go well off into the extended the following weekend as we get towards October 25th, another strong storm approaching Vancouver Island. And we're probably going to stay active in some form here as we go on into the second half of October. As you see, as we go, this weekend is right there. There's that dip in the jet stream at about 30,000 feet. So that's this weekend's fairly robust storm system. Then you can see the next one coming through next week. And look at this jet stream. It's extended all the way across the Pacific Ocean back towards the Pacific Northwest here. And we do have the potential for strong storms as we go on in through the later portion of October. I mean, look at this jet stream out there. This is up over 200 miles per hour at 30,000 feet, ripping across the Gulf of Alaska, prime for some storm development with that. Now, looking at 700 millibar, about 10,000 feet, you can see what we're dealing with now. There's that ridge that allowed that, tropospheric polar vortex, a little bit of that taste of that Arctic air to drop down across our region, come into California with that strong storm. And you see the ridging in the wake of that. And then we slowly break down that ridging, and there goes our stronger storm this weekend. But look at, as we go through the extended forecast, you can really see that colder air coming here across portions of the northern hemisphere and allowing that storm train to try to point back at the Pacific Northwest. So 6 to 10 day below normal here across a lot of the west coast. There's the above normal signal there. There's the 8 to 14 day, got some near normal, and above normal signal continues, and that makes sense with what we just looked at, right? The storm train potentially pointed back at the Pacific Northwest as we go towards the end of the month, October 26th, shown there. Check out the Patreon page if you like as well. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.